So, good morning. This morning, the title of my comments is Finding Peace. And I want to talk about how the path to lasting contentment begins with understanding of this concept. And it really resonates deeply with the teachings of the Buddha. You'll remember that he emphasized the natural unfolding of phenomena, the importance of aligning our thoughts, our actions, and intentions with conditions that really lead to genuine well-being. So I want to explore a little bit today the Buddhist perspective on finding peace and look at the causes and conditions that support this effort. Briefly, I want to just say a few words about one of the fundamental teachings of the Buddhism, which is known as dependent origination. And simply put, this states that all phenomena arise in dependence upon specific causes and conditions, that everything is sort of interconnected, that this happens because that happens because of this. I mean, that's a gross oversimplification, but the idea is that nothing exists independently or just comes out of nowhere through sheer force of will. The best analogy, I think, for this concept is the idea of planting. Let's take the planting of a peach tree. And just as the growth of the tree depends on proper soil, proper water, sunlight, pruning, care, our experience of peace and happiness arises from all the conditions that we cultivate in our minds and hearts. It's not enough to wish for contentment or just force it into being. We have to actively create the conditions that allow it to unfold naturally. And this understanding really asks us to reflect on our habitual patterns of behavior and thought. We all have these habits of the mind, which we sort of get into these ruts with. And so when we reflect upon that, the question becomes, are we nurturing the seeds of peace in our hearts, or are we unwittingly planting and watering the seeds of suffering? It's a really critical question on this path. And many of our efforts to find contentment and happiness, such as pursuing material wealth, indulging in fleeting sensory pleasures, often just end up causing greater dissatisfaction and suffering. And in Buddhism, recognizing the causes of suffering is the first step in reducing our suffering. The Buddha's teachings on the Four Noble Truths remind us that suffering has a cause, and suffering can be reduced by addressing that cause. So we're called upon to recognize the laws and principles that govern our experiences of contentment and our experiences of suffering. We really want to be able to look at that on an ongoing basis, because without that clear understanding, our efforts often become misdirected or even counterproductive. Excuse me. It would be like digging up a seed repeatedly to check its progress, thereby preventing it from growing. You know, the Buddha taught what he called natural laws, and these aren't laws of physics or biology, but they have to do with the dynamics of the mind and heart. They reveal how craving, how aversion, how ignorance, all the three poisons that he taught perpetuate our suffering. Conversely, qualities like generosity, patience, compassion, and mindfulness cultivate peace in our hearts. The path to peace is not just sudden leap because we commit to it. It's a gradual process of cultivation like that peach tree. Each moment presents an opportunity to incline the mind toward wholesome qualities and away from unwholesome or unskillful tendencies. And these small, seemingly insignificant actions accumulate. They build on each other. Over time, they shape our character, and they shape our experience like drops of water filling a jar. And this perspective requires us to cultivate patience and perseverance. There's nothing quick about it. You know, in a world and a culture that demands instant results, the Buddhist path reminds us that deep and lasting change takes time. And it is never about perfection. It's only and always about progress. How continually aiming in the direction of what is wholesome and beneficial, but never with the goal of perfection. Each moment of mindfulness, Each act of kindness, each instance of letting go, all of these things contribute to this unfolding of a more peaceful life. Now, I want to make sure and stress the importance of paying careful attention to our intentions, our thoughts, and our actions, because these qualities, all of which are closely associated with mindfulness and wise effort, the two of the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. Mindfulness allows us to observe our inner life, our inner world with clarity. And wise effort helps us steer our energy toward cultivating wholesome states and abandoning unwholesome ones. By living with mindful awareness, we become stewards of our own contentment. We have something to do with that. We recognize the potential in each moment to set in motion a process that leads toward greater freedom and less suffering. And this awareness naturally inclines the heart toward ethical integrity and peace, foundational concepts. Consequently, this alignment with wholesome qualities creates a positive feedback loop. The more we act from kindness, compassion, and patience, the more these qualities strengthen and bring us closer to greater contentment. It's a cumulative process. Another profound lesson is the importance of letting go of the need for control, to try to force control. In Buddhism, this is embodied in the principle of non-attachment. I love this analogy. Just the hen does not need to wish for her chicks to hatch. We don't need to grasp for happiness or cling to specific outcomes. We can only create the proper conditions, as she does by sitting on her eggs, for this to emerge, because we can't just make it happen. We trust in the natural process. Judith reminded us on Wednesday about process of cause and effect. Knowing that our efforts to cultivate wholesome conditions bear fruit in their own time. This attitude, and boy, I've found this so true in my own life, of letting go is so liberating. We can just feel the weight come off. It frees us, the letting go frees us from anxiety and tension that arise from trying to control what is beyond our power by buying into this illusion of control. If we surrender to the natural unfolding of life, not trying to control it, not trying to micromanage it, we create and find a deeper sense of ease and contentment. Because ultimately, this path is about how we live each moment of our lives. The conditions for happiness are created not in some distant future, but right now in this moment. How am I doing in this moment? Each intentional act, each intentional wholesome act, no matter how small, contributes to the direction of our lives. Each intentional act, each wholesome act, no matter how small, contributes to the direction of our lives. By orienting ourselves toward what is wholesome and beneficial, we set the stage, we lay the groundwork for the flowering of peace in our lives to naturally unfold. This perspective encourages us to take refuge in the process rather than fixating on the outcome. We trust the process because we may not see immediate results, but we can take heart in knowing that we're moving in the right direction. We're steering the ship in the right direction. And this journey itself, the process itself, becomes a source of joy and inspiration because we are aligning ourselves with the Dharma and the promises that the Dharma offers us. The natural laws that the Buddha talked about that lead to freedom and greater contentment. The path to true peace is a journey of understanding. It's a journey of mindfulness. It's a journey of gradual cultivation. And from a Buddhist perspective, it begins with recognizing the causes and conditions that either give rise to happiness or give rise to suffering. It asks us again to tend to these conditions with care and patience, to trust in the natural unfolding, the natural process of transformation. By living in mindful awareness, by letting go of the need to control, we create space for this experience of peace to arise naturally. The Buddha taught, quote, when we are today, what we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday, and our present thoughts build our life of tomorrow. Our life is the creation of our mind. What we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday, and our present thoughts build our life of tomorrow. Our life is a creation of our mind. Each moment is an opportunity to plant seeds of kindness, compassion, and wisdom, because in doing so, we become the architects of our own happiness and those around us. It's contagious. We walk the path of peace one step at a time. So that is some thoughts on cultivating peace in our lives.